So let's start a little bit with the topic tonight. So tonight, basically the title of the webinar is "The Women in the Field." So there are many women working in the field in our industry, you know, from the mine to selling. But this is not exactly the subject tonight. The subject tonight is basically associated with the webinar that I gave a few weeks ago, thanks to Rudy Galopin. During that webinar about field gemology, I received a lot of questions about can women go to the field and things like that. And how it is when you're a woman, when you go to the field. That was quite funny because it's asking that question to a guy. So I was thinking, yeah, maybe I can answer, but the best will be to invite some ladies who went to the field with me in order to answer this type of question. So this is the idea about this webinar tonight, is to be able to give the opportunity to ladies, women, to answer this question directly. So if you miss this webinar, if some of your friends miss it, don't worry, it will be online in a few days on my YouTube channel. So you can go to my YouTube channel in a few days and you will be able to watch it again. So tonight, basically, what do I have to say quickly about women in the field? Well, during my expedition, for about 18 years, I took a woman in my expedition. One of the things that I found with women in the field is that usually they prepare very well. They are serious. They are not as troublemakers as the guys. I had much less trouble, you know, with the women in my team than with the guys in my team. And usually, you know, everything is quite fine. The only difficulty I have with women in the field is when I want to take photographs of the miner, I have to take care about where are the girls, you know, in my team, because all the miners are looking at them and not at me. So that's the main big issue that I found regarding traveling with a woman. But actually, you know, when I mix the team and you have a girls and guys together, basically everything is so far happened very well. There is one great thing about a woman in the field is that, you know, when I arrive at a mine and there are some ladies, people are more willing to speak with me and to meet me than if I was coming with 3 or 4 guys that look like ex-mercenaries. So there is a lot of advantage if you are a woman when you want to go to the field. So in order to tell more about that, I invited 8 ladies, 8 women, who have very, very different background. I didn't want it to put only, you know, this type of background, some very hardcore professional or people who just come to visit. I mix a little bit too. And so tonight there will be 4 English-speaking ladies, and tomorrow there will be 4 French-speaking ladies. So you will have the privilege to listen 8 of them tonight and tomorrow. So let's go to the first 4 ladies. And I will ask them a few questions, and they will answer, hopefully. And then at the end, you can submit your question, you know, online. You can use the chat for that. And Justin, who is at the techniques, will collect all these questions, and then he will send the question at the end of this session to the woman who will be attending the talk. So maybe let's everything start. So I invite everybody to join. I will stop sharing my screen and okay, let's go.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hi there.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, girls.
And let me, Erica.
So we are missing one.
Erica.
There's a button should pop up, and then you can click accept the video or start the video. You should see a little.
Okay.
There you go.
Should I just put okay?
No,
Did I do it?
Yep, we got you. Everyone's here. Welcome.
Okay.
Hi.
So maybe the first thing to do in this case, because we are basically 6 people here, I will ask you ladies to introduce yourself a little bit and to explain why you had this funny idea to ask me to go to the field with me, or just to go to the field. So Erica, maybe you start?
Okay. Well, I'm Erica Courtney. I'm a jewelry designer in LA and do very high-end, sophisticated, gorgeous, drop-dead gorgeous jewelry. And the reason I really wanted to go on a trip with you is because I felt like there was something that I wasn't touching in the industry, and I really wanted to see every single facet, no pun intended, of the industry. Curiosity like rules my world. So it was all about curiosity, and the I went to was a tanzanite mine, and it really made me even more curious to see how other gems were mined, because then I heard that they weren't all mined exactly the same. So how were they mined?
Michele, number 2.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Vincent, and thank you for all. My journey started in the gem world in 2008. At that point in my life, I was a fashion buyer. However, I came across Vincent's blog, which was full of adventure. I was fascinated by his life, but it's only 5 years later that I took the courage to let go of my secure job and go into the field and this world. So I started with my studies at the GIA London campus. I did my graduate gemologist diploma, then became a cutter in South Africa. And after that, I became a wholesaler specializing in fancy colored diamonds, where I met Vincent in person. And despite his fame, he was very kind to inspire me to pursue my dream. And the purpose for me was actually to see the stones from the moment it's on earth to the moment it's on our jewels, because it's more than just stones, it's history twinkling on our skin. And for that, the missing link was retail, knowing your consumer. And now I work for Bulgari as their high-end business development manager. However, I still long for expedition and the wild and going with Vincent on these great adventures. And I have a very special connection with Mother Earth. That's why I think my biggest hobby is diving. I'm a dive master, and I'm fascinated by the sea. And I really hope, Vincent, that our next expedition will be underwater, looking for some organic gems, maybe.
Who knows? When everything will be finished with the COVID, we'll see.
Exactly.
Expect the unexpected. You know my rule. You have to
Maybe
expect the
it's safer
unexpected. So we'll see.
under the water. Maybe it's safer.
Okay, Sana, don't forget to give your name, huh? Because Michele, you forget to give your name.
Yeah. I'm Michele Prince, by the way. Thank you.
Sana, maybe.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sana Qureshi, and I'm a gemologist. And my story is very similar to Michele, actually. I was studying gemology in New York, and I think Vincent had just started his blog, fieldgemology.org, and I'm like, what is this? I really want to do this at some point in my life. And yeah, it took me, I think, 12 years to fulfill this dream. And I'm very, I have a lot of gratitude towards Vincent to give me this opportunity in December 2019, where I did my first mine expedition after several failed attempts, I think, in all these years. So yeah, the biggest challenge was just to book the tickets for me, more than thinking of the challenges that I had to face during the expedition. But it all happened, and it has changed my entire vision and the whole perception about upstream journey in Gemfield and the downstream journey. So I think I'm very, very grateful to Vincent for giving me this opportunity. And I think I was just gem driven. It was my passion. And for me, that was enough for me to decide that I need to go on a mine expedition with Vincent. So thank you.
Okay. Zoe.
Hello, so I'm Zoe Michelou. So my background is a little bit different. So I grew up in Colombia, where I was surrounded by gems and jewelry since the first day that I was born. Also, it's the family route that brought us all in Colombia, as I have my sisters and brothers there. And as some of you guys know, my father has 44 years in experience in this industry, and he has lived like 37 years in Colombia, being specialized in emerald. So for me, actually, like going to the field was something very natural, as I was always hearing my dad and the people that were around him that, okay, like they were going to the mine, he was coming back from the mine, traveling abroad, he was buying roughs, he was cutting, even though I was very young and I was not like understanding like the whole process, but I knew what gemstones were, and especially emeralds. So we were like since the beginning a traveling family, visiting different countries, and I have always been in contact with also different cultures. So then, you know, in 2009, my father actually took me to a field trip in India, where I met all the big gemstone people, basically, that made me decided to be part of this gemstone industry, because I really fall in love about gemstone, and I was embezzled by the jewelry, but mostly about gemstones. So my father also being like the vice president of ICA for many years, this opened me like kind of like all the doors to the world of gemstone, and thanks to that, I was able, you know, to visit like different mines in different countries, like in Nigeria, in Pakistan, in Sri Lanka, and also I got contacted by miners who wanted to work with me. I mean, they wanted to work with young people, let's say, you know, they wanted to work with fresh blood. So in the end, I was the only one of my sisters and brothers who decided to go in this field. And so I got into education of gemology. So I started like in Bangkok doing the GIA. I did FGA also for a Colorstone with GIT, and I have like experience as well on jewelry design. But for me, as going to the field, it's quite vital, not only to understand basically the material, but also to understand what I'm selling and what I'm cutting, because we're managing the subtleties of cutting tourmalines and other colored gemstones, such also as emerald coming from Africa, and managing everything from grading, trading, and processing standpoints. So also it's very important, you know, for me, like to know the new sources, to keep contact with my suppliers, meet the people of also like all these different cultures is what I love and what attracted to me, you know, like in this field. So basically, yes, in our business, I mean, in the business that we're doing in our company in Bangkok, we're cutting and recutting some stones. So in Bangkok, and then we're specialized also in calibrated emerald precision cutting in Sri Lanka that we're getting from Pakistan, and also sapphires in Sri Lanka. So yeah, that's a bit all about everything. Thanks.
Okay. What were for you the main challenge about you know, going to the field or also in the field? What was the main challenge that you found? Maybe okay, we'll start again with maybe Erica first. Speak a little bit about all the challenges.
We all have such 5-star lives, I think. Well, not everybody in the world, but I have a more 5-star life. I stay in 5-star hotels, and it's so much more down and dirty. And I loved that part. Like, I didn't know what to expect. And it was actually a lot better than what you said. You said it was going to be horrible, but it wasn't horrible at all. It was just a different way of staying in the mine and seeing what's going on and living like they do. And I loved that part. And do you remember in Africa when they were serving igali, and we were like, well, I want to try that, but they wouldn't dare feed us that. They wanted us to have something better, and just eating what they eat, and you know, learning to live with what you have makes you a lot more grateful, I'd say. The challenge is the comforts, I think, that you miss. The challenge is also physical, you know, but I didn't miss the comforts, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because it's totally different out there, and it's totally, you can't think of anything but what you're doing.
Yeah, for me the challenge was because when you were coming to the field, I received several calls from on email from some of your friends telling me that if anything happened to you, I will be dead.
And I got to this day, people beg me not to go, but there's no way I'm not going to go.
At least I had 2 death threats, one from your sister and one from one of your dear friends. somebody, a blonde lady from South Africa that is working with me in Greenland.
Yes, I know. That's so funny. I know most people don't expect me to come back, but it's perfectly safe. If you take care, it's perfectly safe. You know, you just have to take care. You should be with people that you know and trust, and don't do anything ridiculous. Don't be getting drunk. Don't be doing things that put you in a precarious position, and you'll be fine.
It's not safe, but well, I'm happy that you feel that it was safe, but my feeling is that it's not safe. Life is not a safe process. At the end, everybody dies one way or another one. But you can go to the field, you can die in a car accident. You take a bad car, you have a problem. It's not safe.
Yeah.
We sunk twice on a river full of crocodile and hippopotamus. We sunk twice. You lose your shoes. You were beaten by a scorpion. My cameraman was run by a hippopotamus. It's not safe. It's not safe.
No, it's not safe. No, I mean, and but being in the jungle with no shoes for 3 days is definitely a traumatizing thought, knowing there's black mambas there and all kinds of poisonous snakes and poisonous things, and that scorpion, that hurt for 3 days a lot. And to still not have shoes, and then the hot rocks and all the stuff I had to put up with after that, it's certainly not safe. And you know, I guess it was.
But you get yourself ready. You get yourself ready. That's the key point. You know, it's a bit like what I was saying on the other webinar about the rule of Field Gemology. Okay, I'm not advertising this trip. Usually I tell you all the list of what can happen. And if you are ready for that, usually if you're getting ready for the worst, then you will enjoy the best. But you have to take it seriously. It's not like going on holiday, you know, even if you go on holiday in Paris, something bad can happen to you. So you have to take it seriously. And this is what you need. That's why, you know, after that, you enjoy it. But okay.
Absolutely, you have to take it seriously. I mean, it was serious when we crashed that boat. The scouts jumped in with their guns in the air trying to grab me before I went through the rapids. Our boat broke in half through the rapids. So what would have happened to my legs?
They were not rapid. They were not rapid. Remember, I got shot for that. It was water that was going very quick. And you know, between the rocks, it was not.
Oh yes, okay.
I put that on my Facebook, and then people started to shoot at me because it was not rapid. Okay, it was not rapid.
Okay. Somebody just asked where was I? It was the Lugendra River.
Lugendra River in Mozambique. Correct. That was the
yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Michele, tell us a bit what was for you the main challenge that you see about going to the field. What is the most difficult as a woman or whatever, you know?
So my first field expedition was to the Jewel Box, to Sri Lanka, and I was the only girl in my first expedition with you. And definitely my challenge was physical and mental, to make sure that I keep the pace with you guys, that my knowledge is good enough to actually follow and be good in the markets or the mine. And I would love to share with everyone one of the experiences I had in Ratnapura. So Ratnapura, besides being a gemstone market, it has also gem mines surrounding it. And it's also a big, huge rice paddy place. So there is a lot of waterlogs, and it's inconceivable to have underground mining there. Except that with the skills and the resources of the people in Ratnapura, they were able to construct a certain structure made out of logs and bamboo, which will elevate the water in a way that will isolate the mud, and therefore they can have actually large-scale mining underground. And we went there, and I was standing above a pit of 40 feet. Correct me if I'm wrong, Vincent.
Well,
and there, I don't know if you remember, there was this miner who looked at me. He's like, "You down?" And I'm like, I'm asking myself the same question. And I guess this is a great test of your passion, or taking a leap of faith and trusting your physical abilities and mental abilities. So we went down, and we were on our knees. I was next to Vincent, on my knees, crawling into that labyrinth. And I felt like water on me coming out from the cracks. And this is when I froze, and I looked at things and I was like, this is the best place to appreciate what actually Mother Earth has to offer, because at any point it can all crumble on our heads, and we're there taking this challenge and this risk just for the hope of seeing the blue coming out of the brown. And the miners do that every day. And this is the best example to understand the rarity of these stones and to which lengths we would go to actually get them. And of course, I left Sri Lanka without my hoped for sapphire, because if people think they will get it, downsize your expectations. You won't really get it in the mines. You probably will get it, as Vincent would say, in trade shows. However, what I got is a life lesson that we, like gemstones, would never become the best version of ourselves. It's like when I used to cut diamonds and make sure that it has this fire. I need to make sure I polish myself through experience to be the best version of myself in my life and in my work. And most importantly, I went there not knowing if I was able to make it, and I left knowing and assessing that I'm actually able to survive and thrive. And this is such an empowering feeling, and when you share this with others, you will only inspire them just to be better and to hopefully come with you the next time into the field.
Okay, that's good. Sana, tell us a little bit what were the main challenge for you?
I think there are a lot of challenges, but the biggest was finding myself at an unknown place with a bunch of unknown people. Like, what am I doing here? I think that was a good challenge, of course. They turned into great buddies, and my expedition was really good. But every day, I think, as Michele mentioned, that it's just striving for survival is the most important thing on your expedition. And even you've mentioned, like coming back safe is the most important thing. It's the biggest challenge you face. And of course, as Erica also covered the points, like you are, like there's so many things that bother you, like discomfort, whether it's your food, you're in mud, you get dirty. There are so many insects, like even roaches would freak me out, so let's not get on to other things, but even roaches would freak me out. Waking up in the middle of the night and going to the washroom, or like anything, even crickets just like across my face, and I was like, what the heck? So for a fraction of a second, I would miss a heartbeat. So that was challenging. But I think the most challenging experience I had was when I had to go down a tunnel, which was 1 meter in diameter, and it was 12 meter deep. I think, Vincent, is that correct?
About that.
And one of my friend, Anirudh, he's a geologist. He told me that it's called windless system. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And I experienced that, and that was very challenging because there is no tech in those fields. Everything is like, it's like a pulley. People are pulling you up back and forth to elate you, and you just travel underground 12 meters to see what it is like for miners to work all day and get the gravels out, and then look for the most important stone that would really change their life. And they do this back and forth. Like, it was amazing for me. How do they do it for hours and hours down there? I think I couldn't hold myself more than about 20 minutes, and I just wanted to get out. So I think for me that was quite a challenge, and it was really, really nice to see all the gravels, and there were a lot of, it was very, very mineral rich. We went to Ilakaka, Madagascar, and I think for me that was the biggest challenge beside the dirt and the everything, food and everything else. I think when you live these experiences, you don't think what you're eating, or you're walking a river filled with human poop and other things in it. You don't really think about it. Once your journey starts and you're learning, I think it's one of a kind of experience, and only when you go there you really realize what the unknowing is that Vincent keeps talking about in his videos. So for me that was...
It was in Madagascar, huh? There is somebody asking, where was it, Sana?
Yes, it was in Ilakaka, Madagascar.
Mm. Okay.
So yeah, beside that, we had a lot of other challenges, but I think now when we look back at it, we really laugh that we did overcome it.
Everybody was happy in your
Yeah.
family, your friend, everybody was happy you to go to Madagascar alone
No,
with people that
not at all. Not at all. I think I remember every time, I think I initiated mine expedition in my family when I saw Vincent for the first time, I think back in 2008. And since then I used to tell my family and they're like, no, you can't go. I think this is crazy. Women don't do this. You're not meant for the sun, you know, and things like that. And it really, I had several failed attempts to convince my family. And I met Vincent last year during Hong Kong show. And every time I used to tell him I really want to do it. And I was never enthusiastic enough to take this forward, you know. There's a very fine line that you want to do it and you actually do it. It's just in here. And I think I booked my plane tickets. I gave confirmation to Vincent. And after that, I told my mom, I'm just going for an expedition. She thought it was like a fun holiday. She didn't know I'm going to the mines and the danger it had. But I did that. And of course, now she knows where I went and she's like, she had a big reaction. But I think the only reason it makes them nervous is with the certain danger and challenges involved in it. But if you really follow the protocol, and I think Vincent makes it very clear before you travel of the do's and the don'ts. So as long as you take care of that and you follow and you blend in, I think you're fine. I think I was fine. But I had a lot of challenges. Like my family didn't know what I was really getting into until I came back. So for me, it was now or never, and that's about it. So yeah.
Well, do you think they will let you go again?
Yeah, but I have to like manipulate my side of the story, and then maybe they would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zoe, you didn't have this type of challenge. You were, I guess that your family was not really concerned about, you going to the mine. You didn't have to basically lie to your father or something like that. But what was your main challenge about going to the field or maybe in the field?
Yeah, well, lying to my father, no, because he was the one actually pushing me to go to those crazy places that I have been to. But my mom, she was the one, that was scared all the time. And she was like, your father, he's like so inconsiderate, to send you to those places. I'm never going to see my daughter. She's going to end up, married into some like tribal villages or something like that, So, but in the end, like I always have been like very, deep inside me, very adventurous. So I like adventure. I like new things, experience new things. But I didn't really have challenges that I have faced, like before going to the field. Of course, like security can be an issue. You always go prepared, with backup plans and solid contacts in the countries that just in case that you go, I make sure also that long-term trustworthy people know where I am and I can refer to them, just in case of a problem. Of course, you have to consider health, security, and accident, because you're always like, most of the mines are always in remote areas where you don't have like, I don't know, like a closed hospitals, and usually healthcare is like pretty horrible in those countries, let's get like scarce, so you don't want anything to happen to you. But my three main countries are not really easy countries to go to, like which are Colombia, Nigeria, and Pakistan. Okay, there is Sri Lanka, which of course, compared to these three countries I have mentioned, is not really, a very complicated country. But I have learned one thing is being clear, very clear, honest, and being diplomatic by respecting the culture. By respecting the culture in the country that you go, you earn the respect of the people, So, and I was already proposed, like in marriage when I was, in Pakistan, which I have managed to decline without hurting feelings, of that person, and also not hurting my business. And this kind of situation can be where you think that, yes, it can be like, it can go pretty badly, because you're the only foreigner, you're among all these like tribe people, and they don't speak English, and yes, you're white. In the end, you're white, you're the foreigner, so you're a target, especially a woman there. When I have to go to Pakistan, I have to cover myself when I go to Mingora, Swat, Pakistan, by putting the burqa or like just the veil. They allow me like to put the veil, but women are not allowed by any chance to go to the mine. So of course, you're never really safe, and of an unexpected event, even if you're the most prepared possible person, you know. For instance, like I remember traveling between La Pita area in Colombia, and we were caught in a rainstorm in the middle of the mountains, and immediately it flowed the dirty road. So it provoked like a landslide, and it pushed the car to the edge of the ravine with one of the two cars that were pushed down to the river, but they got stopped by some rocks. So the passengers that were inside almost got drowned, and we had the chance with like some villagers that were passing nearby. They had a rope, and we had to break the lock and the windows to get them out. You know, like they were like this close, you know, to die. And basically, so, you know, like a 6 o'clock in nighttime, you shouldn't take a road at night. A trip that normally was supposed to be safe became a total nightmare. So like where you're in the field in general, like you don't take a chance, like really not. Your life can be like really at stake at any moment. So another anecdote, you know, that I can tell is like, so in Pakistan, we had just came out of the Nemat Mandi market in Peshawar with my dad. We were expecting some raw material, tourmaline and lapis. And when a building 100 meters away from where we were went into a bomb blast by a terrorist attack, killing a political leader and 20 other people, you know, that were attending the meeting. So of course, immediately provoked like riots in the streets. That is always goes, you know, like usually in those type of countries. And we had to be kept into hiding by the government security forces, you know, in the Pro-Continental Hotel in Peshawar. So until the next day. And we were finally allowed to leave only in the evening to Mingora, so in the Swat Valley. And because usually, okay, of course, usually I said earlier that it is not advised at all to travel at night. But when security reasons in those types of countries, you know, like it's like really at stake, you know, and so you have to take the only window basically that is open, you know, to go to one place to another. So that's yeah, it was quite crazy. But those are like, besides, okay, like going into you know, like all these, because we work a lot, you know, with basically most of the places that I go to are artisanal small scale mining. They're not really like super organized. They're organized, but in their own way. So of course, like the security systems inside the tunnels or the holes, they're not super safe. But I've never really felt like unsafe in there. For me, it was more like the environment, like either being caught by the weather, you know, like dirty roads, like some accidents I have said, or in not an easy country, you know, where like the culture or like religious beliefs, like in Pakistan, for example, you know, like can be quite tricky sometimes, you know, when you're a foreigner, and especially a foreign woman. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. One of the most, the main challenge, number one, that something I will never advise to anybody, guy or girl, is you should never travel alone, and you should all the time travel with people that you know, and if possible also people who know the place, and you have to find the right guy, the right local contact, a fixer. You know, it's the same as in life. You know, if you are a woman and you decide to marry, you know, a guy who will beat you for the rest of your life, you will have a miserable life. So the kind of choice you are making with the people who you are going to travel, who you are going to do your business with, these are the critical things. So basically, most of the time in the field, if you go at the wrong time, the wrong place with the wrong people, this is the way you get in trouble. But if you get yourself ready, you do your best in order to, you know, to go with the right people at the right time. You organize yourself. Is it rainy season, not rainy season? And to adapt a little bit to the culture. You know, learn few words of language, try to understand, you know, what is going on there, and adapt to the situation. Then I think in most of the place, it's pretty. But you can also have a car accident in France, and you can, you know, on a road in France, anywhere, there is a drunk guy coming on the other side, and you are dead. So there is no 100% safe area. But yeah, in most, I think, you know, if a woman is doing carefully, and she travel with the right people, I never travel alone again. So I don't advise anybody, woman or guy, to travel alone. But if you go with the right person who knows the place and the people, it's pretty safe. So,
Yeah.
okay, what, out of, you know, all that, we heard a little bit about your main personal challenge about going there and what you have found. What was the thing that basically amazed you the most? What benefit were you able to get, and what you know, changed a little bit your life or your vision about you know, after going in the field? Maybe okay, let's start again with Erica. Try to tell us about that.
I think one of the main things I found out traveling with you in particular is what I can do versus what I don't want to do. You know, a lot of times we... Sorry?
Erica, okay, it's not just about traveling with me, it's about going to the field. Me, it's
well, yeah, okay. Well, just in general, is finding out.
The most exciting.
The most exciting is, the very most exciting is seeing any gem come out of the ground, whether it's good or not. Just the fact that you know that somebody just mined that little gem right there. And the fact that now you know how they did it, you know how exactly how rare things are by going there and seeing that they're mining all day. I might have been sitting there all day with them and nothing good came out yet. The rarity of gems isn't amazing. I think it shows you really the rarity. And when you understand the rarity of something really beautiful. What's that?
This is something that helped you in your business? Is it something that helped you in your business because you're a designer?
Absolutely, because I deal with a lot of rare gems. So now I can speak to the story of the gems. And for me, I'm the ultimate storyteller anyway. And just being able to tell that story, where it comes from, it romanticizes the gems. I feel like our business is so secretive, you know. All of a sudden these beautiful jewels just appear in beautiful jewelry stores, but that's not, the journey is amazing from going from the ground in the most organic way possible, in the roughest way possible, winding up on somebody's beautiful finger. That's a long journey. And even with just us picking out the gems, I think gives you a different appreciation when you know the hard work that it came from. It gives you a different appreciation when you know how few good stones are coming out of the earth. It gives you a different appreciation when you know the conditions that they're working under. However, what the miners really love is finding that,
they give you a lot
gem. Sorry, you cut out.
I say it gives you a lot of confidence about the product you're working with.
Absolutely. And a different appreciation, you know, like I always appreciated gems. I love them. I just can't tell you how much I love them. But the appreciation of where it came from, how long it took, what that piece of rough turned into, half the size, hopefully half the size of what the piece of rough was, and how little there is of anything good, period.
Mm-hmm. Michele?
As Erica said, definitely on a career part, the benefits when you are into that industry, and especially like Erica, I work in high-end products, especially now with Bulgari, and even when I was a wholesaler. And you understand the rarity of the stones and therefore the pricing and the origin, and you can talk in total confidence with your clients about it. What also you benefit from when it comes to your career, you do so many negotiations in the market, and it's super fun. And you train your eyes constantly. You train yourself to, it's like a game of knowing the price, the right price to pay, not to get over excited about something because you're next to a mine and then you overpay. It's just training about negotiating and paying. And of course, it trained my eye because I was specializing in diamonds, and specifically colored diamonds. However, on gemstones, I didn't have that much of proper field training, so it helped me a lot expand into the trading of colored stones, because I was able to actually know with my eyes and detect treatments or if it's synthetic or not. This is for the career part of things. As for the personal part of things, the benefits are immense because first, I'm sure that anyone who goes on the field comes back recalibrated. Your life changes for the better after that. You start living more in the now. There's a lot of personal growth. I learned how to take good pictures thanks to Vincent tips also. And most importantly, what I think is the biggest benefit is human connections. And I would love to give the example of my trip to Vietnam. And there we were 7 girls, each one of us from different parts of the globe. And we had 2 things in common: determination and our love for gems. Nothing else was in common. And there you understand what it means to be part of a pack. You understand that your team is your lifeline during that trip, that you have to trust them and be kind to each other, love each other. It is only but normal that 2 people will start fighting or there will be things. Stand up and mediate, lead. Don't be like, no, I don't want to get into that. You're family there. And I keep from that trip, which was in Vietnam, which was awesome because in Vietnam, the strongest people in Vietnam are women. And the people in the mines are the women. So it was awesome to be women there. And Erica was with me. And Erica is a great friend of mine. And I went to LA to see her. She came to Dubai and see me. And we even bought at the end of our trip this artwork behind me. All of us, we chose it because we were 7 girls and this is 7 Vietnamese girls. So that was the most beautiful memory I have. And for that, I think this is human connection is the biggest benefit you would have on a personal level.
Yeah, the trip. Before that trip, everybody told me, Vincent, never do that. Don't do that. Taking a woman in the field in Vietnam, this is totally nuts, and you should not do that. It will be a nightmare. It ended up as one of the best trip. You know, you ladies were great. I was the one who had a problem because that was when my broken arm, you know, the nail went into my chest. And I was the chest full of blood. I could not walk. And so I was the one who had actually problem to walk in the mountain, you know, because it took me 4 or 5. I had no idea it was the nail that went there. But I was in pain and things like that. And I was the one that was less fit in order to go up in the mountain. No, that trip was a blast. That was good. That was a good trip. Mm-hmm. And you're right. In Vietnam, something that is all the time amazing me when I go to many mines is the way, you know, the way the miners are working, how hard is are the thing. But when you go to Vietnam and you see how the Vietnamese women are working, this is okay. You say, well, I understand why the French lost the war. You know, I understand. You cannot beat the Vietnamese ladies. You cannot beat them. Sana, what do you think about that? What was the best positive thing, and what makes you change a little bit in a positive way after that expedition to Madagascar, to the Ilakak sapphire mine? That was kind of an experience, I guess.
It was a lot of fun. I think my experience is to do with the community involved in artisanal mining. I think that really touched my heart because the only thing that means the most to them is the basic essentials like food, water. Like by water, I don't even mean like they have the cleanest of water to drink, but that's what means the most to them after digging and working long hours and making a single gemstone out of millions of marks, you know. So for me, I think that really touched my heart. Like they have no electricity, they have no source of entertainment, and I think what they really use is radio for their entertainment all day while working at home, and that's about it. So I think that really touched my heart, and I feel there's a lot that government, industrialists, society, or community can do, you know, for gem mining community all along the world. So yeah, I think that was my experience from this field trip.
So
in
basically,
my
you were thinking that people at the mine were like, you know, you were.
Vincent, you're kind of cutting in and out a little bit. We can't
Hello?
really.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you cut out for a second.
Oh, you cannot hear me. Okay, so
Say
I
that
say
again.
you basically what you are saying. Can you hear me? Okay.
yes, Vincent, I hear you.
Okay. Basically, what you are telling me is that basically you were touched by, you know, the way the people in this mining community welcome you. Correct? That
Yes,
was what was amazing to you, and you were able to see these people, men and women, working together with having fun with listening some music and working together and trying to make basically a good living out of mining gems.
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I think it was
Zoe,
amazing for me to see like they have so little, but they were so happy and they made so much out of it. They have no technology, and the whole family works together. Like the husband is going to the river, or he's getting the gravel, and the wife is washing out of the river. I think it was amazing to see that, and with so little, like, and that's all they work for all day long. So
yeah,
I think that's really.
you see, in place like that, most of the people are usually they are farmers usually, and when there is no work at the farm, you know, if they stay at the farm, they don't make any income because there is no work. So they go mining. If they go mining, they have a chance to become rich. So, and that's my definition. The difference for me between poverty and misery is one thing, which is hope and dignity. The miners, when you go to many mining areas, they have the feeling that maybe they will get a stone in this gravel that will change their life. So they are full of hope. And when you come, they are kind of happy to see you. They are, oh, okay, there is somebody who is interested in what we are doing. And then you see people smiling. So they are poor, but they are smiling. And I know many people who have more money than these guys, and actually, they are not smiling because they don't have much hope and they don't have much dignity. But in many mining areas, I'm all the time amazed about, you know, I see people who are proud about what they are doing. They are happy because they believe that maybe today or tomorrow they will find a stone that will change their life. And every time I say, when I see that, I say, well, you know, there is one thing I know today, I should not complain. And I should not complain because, you know, my situation is I'm such a privileged guy to be able to see that. And this is all the time what I guess that you had the same feeling, correct?
Yes, I had the same feeling. In fact, even with the children there, like as you said, you know, they are like the hope and dignity that they have is amazing. And they have no channel of education. And yet I saw some kids out of scrap, anything that was available around the mining area. They were making toys and they were like just so productive. And I just felt like only if they had a channel to grow, like it would be amazing. So these things really, really did touch my heart, like on my expedition.
But the channel to grow for them is mining.
Yes, yes. But I
The
meant
channel
like,
to grow, they are learning the job of their parents. They are not mining. Actually, the kids are not mining. They are playing near the father and the mining. The kids are not.
I'm sorry, Vincent, you're cracking up. I can't hear you.
Oh, again, yeah. No, I say, well, the channel for young people to grow there is basically mining. The father, the mother, they make some money with mining. The children are playing around, and as soon as they get strong, they try to learn the job of their parents. Basically, this is exactly the same way I grew when I was in the countryside in France. You know, during holidays, basically, I was helping my grandfather and my grandmother, and I was super proud to be able to drive the tractor and to be able to be useful to my family. So, yeah.
And I think that's why they have grown so much more. And as you said, you know, with people who have much more than them and they are still not very happy, like I think I saw life in its most simplest form and they were just so happy.
Yeah. Yeah, usually, well, they're happy to see you because basically they don't see many basic ways. You had people coming to bring the children and to say, oh, look at, this is foreigner. So you were part of the education system that day, you know, when, remember when we were at 12, because the kids were going to school either in the morning or in the afternoon, but we walk in a village just after 12, and we walk just near the school. You had some kids leaving the school, some kids coming. You know, basically it was a kindergarten, a giant kindergarten, and all the kids were trying to, you know, grab you and touch your hair and all the stuff.
Yes,
Basically,
I do
you
remember.
were part of that dedicated education about, oh, you see, there are some funny people. They are like that in Europe. It was fun.
Yep, I do remember that.
Zoe, what was the most positive thing for you in your life? You know, as a woman now, you are one of these few women who go to the field and to make a living. What was able to make you feel like, you know, I'm so happy about doing that. I did the right choice.
Well, first, okay, it has to come with passion. I always like to travel, to know also different cultures. But the benefit, I mean, in the end, I mean, it's bringing much more than that. Well, first, I mean, of course, like in terms of business, for example, uh, we have to maintain, you know, like I have to maintain a supply, and I always have to find, you know, like new sources to supply my customers. But for me, in the end, like going to this kind of mining sites is not always about learning about mining techniques, which is very, very interesting, you know, also learning about geology, but it's also about the behavior and the practices of the communities who worked in the field, you know. So like they're different, completely different practices, like from Colombia to Pakistan to even Sri Lanka or Nigeria. Different, completely different backgrounds. So I worked mostly, as I said earlier, you know, with small scale miners, yet organized in their own tribal way or culture, and visiting regularly emerald mines in Colombia and Pakistan. They have, you know, very different ways of technique of extractions and tools, but in the end of the day, the work and the profit sharing that they use is exactly the same. Slightly different, you know. One has the license, the other one has to pay for the tools, for the cost and the keep-ups, and the third put the work. So the sharing depends on the arrangement also of every location. And I found out like very interesting, you know, like from one country to another. So for example, in Nigeria, you know, like it's quite well known, like the most efficient working at the mines are like Muslim communities, you know, so they rely on each other, you know, because of religion. There is a trust, a huge trust. Also in Pakistan, you know, they're like all coming from the same family usually, or like cousins, or because one woman, she married, you know, like the cousins of the other family. I mean, it's just, there are like 2 million of inhabitants in Mingora, you know. So it's quite big, and it's the only mine in the world that is right in the middle of the city. So the workers, they can just go back to their home just by walking or just going by scooter, you know. So, but they, at the end of the day, they all know each other. So from the miner through the trader, and they all support each other. So like, it's quite interesting to see that they're not, let's say, like usually, you know, in every mines, you have some stealing of material. But there in SWAT, I mean, the stealing, of course, still exists, but it's quite minimum compared to Africa, that relies, you know, like in another like cultural way. Then it will go like too long if we go into that. But yeah, basically that's why I found like very interesting on comparing these, and you have to adapt the way of working with these people, you know, every time, all the time, comparing to their cultures. And yeah, so this is what I find like quite exciting also, you know. And also when I tell to my customers, because most of the people, you know, they don't know exactly what is going on behind the scenes, you know. So it's important, you know, to explain to people, you know, that not everything, you know, like is black. Things are working in a certain way, and it's not for nothing. Like you cannot disturb this kind of work, you know. You cannot enter, you know, with your westernized type of mindset, you know, when you enter in those places. So
I agree. I agree. This is the, for me, it's so a great privilege to be able to see that not through a TV screen or not reading article by some so-called journalists who are mainly using mining areas and things like that in order to sell some sensational papers.
Exactly.
Because
See exactly how is it going on and how the people are exactly living, because everyone is thinking that, oh, poor people, they're living so bad and this and that, but actually not. If you really look at it, especially also in Pakistan, as I said, like the mine is literally in the middle of the city. Most of people who have their houses in the garden, they also mine emeralds. So they have a very good living. They trade all the time, you know. In Nigeria is a little bit different, but I mean, still in the end, they always like, if they always have a sponsor or the guy who has the license who will give them food. Not everywhere, but it happens. So for us, we like to work with people and small scale mining communities. Small scale mining, you know, if as long as we can support them and try, you know, like to change some of these things, not really change their culture of their way of doing things, but at least like improve in a better way. Yeah.
So you're feeling useful?
Yes. It has to, and it's adding value to the product. It's also adding a lot of value to the product.
Yeah, that's a good feeling.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So one question that I see, which kind of advice will you give to people who want to go to the field? Ladies, maybe Erica again. Okay, let's start again.
Okay.
Which kind of advice?
I think my best advice is to talk to somebody, whoever you're going with, and see what you actually need versus what you want, because there's really no sense in bringing a bunch of things that you don't actually need. It's not better to have every single thing you need than a bunch of stuff you don't. Like your whole entire makeup kit, let's say, is totally useless. Don't bring it. You know, like just bring what you need and have a really fresh attitude on what you're going to do when you get there and how you're going to behave, because you can't really tell people you're not going to eat the food they prepared for you. That's completely rude, and they spent a lot of money on it. You can't have everything you want, so having a good attitude and just living in the moment while you're there and appreciating what you do have versus what you don't have, I think is something. Offering something to somebody else that didn't bring, because you probably won't use it, so don't even really think that you're going to need it. Just give it to somebody else. I mean, that's the way I feel. I feel like don't expect anything and just see what happens.
Going with basically traveling with a good friend, or it's more probably the best thing that you can do, correct?
Absolutely.
A good friend is better than fancy shoes, correct?
Absolutely. The fancy shoes should be the best jungle boots you can get. You know, the best socks you can get. That's what you need, fancy. Something that fits you right, that you won't complain about, because there's something to complain about all the time if you look at it in that way. But if you don't look at it in that way, then it's really fascinating, all the things that you get to see. And also the things that you see happening for the people there. It's not just about the miners that make money. The children that have benefited from mining are unbelievable. The little cities. I remember you took us to someplace in, I think it was Kenya, where that you called it the town that Ruby's built, and the schools I've seen supported by that was in Tanzania. That's right. Sorry. And there are schools built by these mining communities. There's food being provided to children that never had food before. There's so many. I remember in Mozambique, there were hospital wagons from gem fields just going from village to village to give them free medicine and free checkups and things like that. All of those things are jobs provided by the miners. So buying gems is actually helping a lot of people. It really is. It really is.
Correct. It's when you buy a stone that was freshly mined, basically you are sending some money. There is some money that is coming from consuming countries that is going to producing countries. Of course, there is all the people in the middle, but basically you are providing a way of living to people who are still alive. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, totally. And educating their children and things you don't even think about happen from gem mining. You know, the food that they get, that just, there's so many things that happen in mining that are good for the entire community. They hire the ladies to make the bread. They hire the cooks from around the community. There's a lot of profit sharing that we don't really think of as profit sharing.
Okay. Michele, what would you be your advice?
So I would segment my advice into 3 parts. And for every woman that are hearing us, whatever I'm giving you, just make sure you're double prepared, because at the end of the day, we're still in a mainly male industry. So it takes more preparation and more confidence for women to be there and succeed in it. The first part is the physical part. So train. Don't go there if you just know how to walk. You basically have to build some strength. You have to trek regularly and be there fit. Then, like Erica said, prepare your gear. Let it be light, but at the same time, make sure you have your first aid kit, your survival kit, and the right boots. And then when it comes to this is for the physical, for the mental part, as Vincent always say, don't go on a trip not knowing where you're going or what are the mines or what are the stones or the culture. Go there prepared so you can actually work and enjoy, because you will be busy. If you're worried not to be busy, you will be busy. And also, like Vincent would say, take a book. It's good for your mental hygiene, and go there with a purpose. Just don't go there. Just make sure you write your purpose, and whatever your purpose is, business, scientific, just for your Instagram page, as long as it's made out of love and passion and you're focused, your journey will flow. And last but not least is the spiritual part. I recommend everyone to try to meditate. It will help you be more focused and in the being, and less stressed, because let's face it, you'll get cranky, and you will need to relax and make sure that you enjoy every step of this journey and not stress all the time. And most importantly, don't judge. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge the outcome of the trip, because sometimes you're blocked because of the rain and you can't go to the mines you were intending to go to. Don't judge the people around you or even the processes. This is maybe their culture or what they are eating or how they are doing it. So just trust yourself, the people around you, and trust the journey, and be ready to roll up your sleeve and get your hand into the dirt.
Well said. Yeah, don't judge. That's a basic rule number 1 when there was a tour guide. You'll get 20 people. Some people you like, some people you don't like. Everybody is a customer. Everybody has the right to get the same kind of attention. So rule number 1, don't judge. And when you are a gemologist, a lab gemologist, you are looking at stone in the lab. You're not here to say it's a good stone, it's a bad stone. You are here to identify the stone. When I go to the field, I meet miners. I enjoy all miners, small or big. I don't judge. I try not to judge. I try to witness. Witnessing is already, a big, take a lot of my mind and a lot of attention. Trying to witness, trying to understand. Because judging, how, is that V-shape or V-shape? It depends on so many things. And how can you judge, how can you have all the elements? So judging for me, it's the most difficult thing. And this is something that I don't like to do. So I just like to, if already I can understand and, I can do my work, and you were right about meditation, especially when you have to be cool, because the worst thing that can happen if there is a trouble, if you are in a situation where there is a kind of danger, if you panic and you don't think, then it will be worse. So the most important thing to do is, you get ready, you know what you have to do, you have think already. If there is this kind of situation, what is the best thing to do? So you prepare mentally yourself about getting in this type of situation. And then you have a plan B. And you say, okay, if there is that, the last thing I want to do is I don't want to give any reason to this guy or to that guy to start to beat us or to start to escalate the situation. So the most important thing is everybody remain quiet, especially when things are going bad. Everybody remain quiet because you don't want to give any kind of opportunity to any guy. Like it happened to me several times when we were detained by some funny guys. Don't complain. Don't, try to be nice. Don't give them a reason to start to beat one of the guys. Because as I say all the time, when these guys, when you are in trouble and there is one or two bad guys around, they will try to prey on the weakest element and make sure that it's not you. So you're right. You're very right. Sana, which kind of advice you want to give to people who want to go to the field?
Firstly, Vincent, I would like to tell all the women out there that over these years, I've realized that a lot of women can't even think that they can do things. And by that, I mean going on extreme expedition or working under an extreme environment or, taking up leadership roles. I think a lot of women don't even believe that they can do this. So for me, to all the women out there, is to break the jinx and go out there and feel yourself on the ground, the brighter side of the trade, really the source and the community. That's my first advice. A lot of things, Erica, Michele, you've covered, like even Vincent on his previous webinar on Field Gemology, he's mentioned a lot of things. But I think for me, please invest in good shoes, as even Erica said, and Michele, like we've really experienced the pain of walking through mountain, river, sandstone. Like there are a lot of challenges and you have to walk a lot. So I think invest in good pair of shoes, and a great hat would do the trick, because I forgot my hat one of the days and I couldn't cope up because there's so much walking to do, and under extreme weather condition it becomes very, very difficult to do that. And other than that, Vincent always says expect the unexpected. So anything that happens, you have to keep going. Having a positive attitude is very, very important. And as even Michele said, having a purpose is important. So you can always have a personal project post-expedition, how you want to contribute. So that is my advice to everyone. Just go out there and break the jinx. That's the best advice I could give to all the women out there.
And I will say, make sure that the people who are traveling with you understand what is your project and are ready to help you. Because when you start to have, if you want to have a team, everybody has to understand what is, my teammate and this one, what they want to do. When everybody understands what everybody wants to do and help each other, then maybe you will succeed. So this is communication inside the team is very important.
Yes, I absolutely agree, because a good team, eventually they become your great buddies during the expedition. And I think without them, it's really difficult to overcome the challenges on your expedition. So it's very, very important to communicate and bring out everything, whatever, like sometimes I think my set of team really helped me push. Sometimes you need someone to push you. Sometimes there were geologists, we don't know a lot of technical terms, so they would help us. So communication within the team is really, really important.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So I learned a lot. I think being just a gemologist for me was not enough on my expedition. It takes much more than the technical terms, or much more than just the knowledge of gemstone. I think it's also the personal attribute and the attitude that you carry for the expedition is very important.
My feeling is the most dangerous thing about when you go to the field is to go with the wrong people. So basically, if you go with a team that is not prepared, you are bringing the danger with you. And the main danger, the number one danger you have when you go to the field is coming from the people in your team. So go with the right people, choose them well, make sure that everybody understands what is the goal of everybody else, and that everybody is ready to help each other in case of trouble, because there will be all the time one period in a trip where, you know, maybe I'm the leader today, but tomorrow I will be sick. And if I'm sick, what happened? You know, so you have to make sure that you travel with people who are going to help you and not with people who are going to stab you in the back. I experienced both of them, both types. I prefer to travel with people who are going to help you than people who are going to stab me in the back. That's Zoe.
Yes.
Zoe.
Well, I think these ladies, they have pretty much sum up all good advices. So, but at the end of the day, again, like it depends why you're going to the field, with who, for which purpose. So me, of course, I'm a little bit like outside of you guys. I'm usually like going on a solo or with my dad. So I think the number one is like to get like really great contacts, secure contacts, you know, that you can trust, that you know that if there is a problem, you will have like 100% protection. But in the end, working in the field, you know, as a woman is not really a place to be at the moment, I would say. I mean, in like dangerous countries, I would say, you know, except if you're a geologist, like for example, Lauriane Pinceau, who works, you know, with the big corporate mining like Gemfields. But however, you know, I have seen in Africa, especially Nigeria. Yes.
Tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. She will be speaking tomorrow, I'm sure, about her experience. So that will be interesting to hear. And no, I was saying, like, I have seen, you know, in Africa, for example, you know, some local women gem traders that have been successful, owners of mine, or doing like a jewelry brand, you know, that were going, you know, to the minefields, but they are local. So they know the culture, they know the people, they're very high in the spheres, you know, to get the contact and the security, and they can pay also militaries or police, you know, to go with them in gears. So, but for Western culture, women, I believe that only education, you know, or field trips are mostly possible, and of course bring a lot of information, especially when it comes to understanding the stones or doing marketing. And so, yes, definitely, of course, in every place that you go, doesn't matter where, can be to Moga, can be to Sri Lanka, doesn't matter which stuff, or even like in Auvergne, in those sapphire mines in France, always bring good shoes, be with exactly trustworthy people. I don't really recommend traveling in groups of people who has zero experience in fields, because as you said, Vincent, I think this can bring you in danger, and you don't know how people, you know, can behave. So always also respect the cultures, you know. And I would give another advice: before you go in any of those countries on field trips, read a little bit about the country, about the culture, about the history of the country that you're going to, you know, because it can has like a big past of war history or anything. And this can be like very useful information that you can use while you're there, in my opinion.
Correct. On my side, I will, because I see also some question about that. My main advice, if you just want to go to the mine in order to see what are the mine, how they are, and things like that, I would recommend to go on a kind of industry field trip. Like ICA is organizing some field expeditions, some field trips. So you become an ICA member, you go to visit the mine in a group of people. The French Gemological Association, you know, everybody heard that day before yesterday, Didier Girard, the president, you know, passed away. This is super sad. Didier organized, you know, some wonderful events, journée and organized areas. They went to Thailand, they went to many places, and you know, just joining your local gemological association, you can also join, you know, a tour that will take you maybe once, you know, in your life, or you know, maybe once every 2 years or 3 years. You can go to visit mine in a very safe way, and at the same time, you will be with you know, industry colleagues. You will be able to make connection. And I think that my advice, some people ask me, don't go alone. Number one thing, don't go alone. Don't go alone, be safe. Go with maybe an association, trade association. There are some people organizing that. Go with them. And now, if you want to join a scientific expedition, I'm not the tour guide anymore. I was doing it for 10 years, and I don't want to finish my life as a tour leader or a tour guide. I accept people in my expedition, but I just try people that I know and I met. Basically, I know you all before, and sometimes it took several years before me to accept you in one of the expeditions. And I see that number one, you can help. Number two, you will not create trouble. And number three, your presence will be useful for the team. So, and I advise everybody to do the same. If you want to go to the field to visit a mine, it's kind of easy. Just go with people that you trust or an organization you trust. Just don't go alone. I never went to a mining area alone. Never. Sometimes I went, I all the time go number one with a local person that I know and then I can trust. I never go alone. No way. I don't go random. Never. And I don't advise anybody to do that, guy or girl. So find somebody knowledgeable, make some contact in the trade, and then you will find somebody one day who say, you know what, I'm going there, maybe you should come with me. And then try to make your best in order for that person to feel that maybe it would be a good idea if you come back. So basically don't create trouble, and then go on. So that would be my advice. Guy or girl, doesn't matter. Usually girls are better because they prepare themselves better. They feel a bit like the inferiority complex, I think, because they have all this pressure coming from advertising, society, and things. They feel that, like exactly you say, Michele, if I don't prepare myself, I will not be good enough to stand against. Yeah, but that's why usually traveling with women is easy, because I know that women, we prepare themselves much better than the guys, most of the time. Okay, maybe Justin, now this is time to give you the microphone and to shoot some questions from the attendants to some of these ladies, because I think there are some people, there are some questions that we didn't really answer.
Yeah, we've definitely had a lot
Justin,
of.
this is your time to speak.
We've had a lot of questions popping up, and I've been pulling them out of the chat so I can not lose them, but I've got them all. We've had one a couple of times already, so I'll just put this out to the group. Maybe everybody can chime in on this because I'm sure everybody's going to have a different idea. But some people were asking about keeping personal hygiene while you're on the trip. How are you able to shower and do all the other things that you have to do as a woman? So what do you guys think about that? And maybe
I don't answer that.
Yeah. Well, we can start with Michele. I see her laughing over there. So what's your secret?
It's quite easy. I don't know, maybe because I was a Boy Scout or Girl Scout, whatever, and so that's why you have to pack smartly. So be smart when you pack. The practical hygiene stuff, the wet tissues, and all of that. And to take a shower, there is running water everywhere. So maybe sometimes you have to take a shower with your swimming suit on because there is nothing around. But most of the time we go to small motels, I would call them. Otherwise, if we are sleeping in the mines, they usually get us where you do your dishes, casserole, and there's water in it, and then the girls stay on guard. Like anyone with you would stay on guard until you finish putting some water on you and a bit of soap, and you're fine. You're good to go.
And Zoe, I know you're doing a lot of trips professionally. I don't know, are you staying in hotels or staying in more rustic environments? But do you have any strange experiences with, because you're also having to maybe have meetings with people, so maybe personal hygiene is even more important when there's business on the line.
Yeah, well, so let's say, different. Okay, Nigeria, it wasn't so bad. well, the hotel was pretty horrible, but it's like 4 hours, like from the mine sites. But then you have also like to sleep in the mine, so like in a really like a small tent, kind of like in wood. So of course, like in terms of hygiene, is not super clean, but you do it, for one night you do it. Food, you do with whatever it's available. It's not like you have a menu and you can choose from what you have. So you end up eating goat meat with I don't know, like some weird rice or potatoes. These, like for example in Nigeria. Then in Pakistan it wasn't that bad. I mean, their security is very important. So we're staying in like hotels that are like super secure. So usually they're very nice and they look like some kind of like resorts or very like standardized hotels like Marriott's and things like that. Then in Colombia, usually I stay like in some friends' houses, friends of like owners of the mines or things like that. So it's pretty safe. Other than that, if you have to sleep really at the mine, which actually happened to us like one night, the night of the drama on the dirt road, we had to sleep at the mine camp, which is like there are only men there, no women at all, and well, you have like cold shower, so you don't have like heaters or anything. But at the end of the day, as long as you have like clean water and then like you eat whatever the food they gave you, like it's fine. But not really big. I mean, for me, it's not really a big challenge, like being in between of cockroaches and rats or things like that. I mean, it's living also in Bangkok. I guess I'm used to. But yeah, I'm not super scared of that. But yeah.
Okay, so another interesting question that we got. Has anyone faced, so someone was saying in Zambia it's considered unlucky for a woman to visit the mine. So have any of you guys experienced any of this sort of superstition or local? I mean, I know Zoe, you said that in Pakistan the women don't visit the mine, but has anybody else encountered this sort of Michele, I see you talking over here. Let me unmute you. No. Oh, okay, you're just talking to yourself. Anybody? Zoe, have you seen any other superstitions like this?
Superstitions as for what? Sorry?
Like they're saying like in Zambia, it's considered unlucky for the woman to visit the mine. Have you seen this kind of thing anywhere else? Like as a sort of superstitious type thing?
Not that I know of. Not that I'm aware, at least. But well, no, in Pakistan, they see you like more like as a unicorn. But but part of that, no, not really. I don't think that it. No, actually, in Pakistan, they think that it brings you luck. So actually, they even called me like the Queen of Emerald. So, which is like kind of nice from them, but no, they're thinking probably like they're gonna have like more production or something like that. Then, as far as I know from Nigeria, I'm not really aware of anything, or unless probably like I don't know, nobody probably like told me. No, I have not. I'm aware, at least.
Okay.
In Sri Lanka, when I was traveling to Sri Lanka several times, some people say that in the mine around Ranapura, traditionally you will not see women mining there, but when you go to the north in Ela area, you see women mining. So people in some place like Ranapura say, oh, usually women don't go to the mine, but you guys, oh, they're foreigners, they can come, no problem. So I think that some miners, when usually, for example, maybe their wife or people from that family will not go to the mine, but I travel with, I say, okay, well, in my group, you have two ladies, and no, it's okay, they can come. And actually, they were super happy to see them coming because they prefer to see two ladies who were with me coming than only the three guys. So the miners were pretty happy to see the ladies. So
yeah,
and so my experience in 20 years, I heard about this kind of thing, but I never saw any miner say, okay, you can enter, but the lady cannot. I never experienced that, never.
Santa, did you have something? Wait, you're muted. Okay.
Yeah, so I heard a very funny thing on my trip that if the guy had to get married to the girl, and if he had to propose, he had to impress the bride's father by stealing a cattle or a chicken or something like that. To get validated. So that was one of the superstition, and I think that's what I heard. And they wouldn't work on certain days of the week. So that was like another superstition that I faced on my expedition.
Fadi. The Fadi in Madagascar. Sometimes they don't work this day, or they don't. You have people from one village, they don't eat pork. People from the next village, they don't eat chicken, because this is a kind of superstition from the village. But the funny thing with mining is because you have people from different villages living together, so then they learn about, oh, in my village, the Fadi is that, in your village, the Fadi is different. So basically, in mining area, it's a very kind of interesting social experience, because you have people from different ethnic groups coming from all around the place who actually learn how to live with each other. And that's quite interesting. So in mining areas, okay, there are some people say, well, in my village, no, this we cannot do, but here I think it's okay. So, actually mining areas are pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, so Erica, I'm going to point this one towards you. So going back to this idea of the challenges of being a woman in the field, did you feel that you were respected in the places that you've been to, as far as being a woman in this male-dominated environment?
At the mines, I always felt respected, almost like they were almost a little afraid of us in a way, like they might have to behave a little bit better while we're there. I mean, I didn't always feel respected by the police in certain countries like Mozambique. That was difficult, as a woman. And other than that, I felt like, there's total respect there. There's total respect. And they do try to accommodate you if they're really an all-male mine. They'll work some little situations out for you if it's bathroom issues or whatever,
Yeah. Someone else had asked, what about Muslim countries? Were any of the places that you've been to Muslim countries?
Yes.
No,
yes. And sorry, Vincent?
I say North Mozambique was Muslim.
Yeah. And there's a lot of Muslims in Sri Lanka that we've been together with, and they were always super nice, super respectful. I think you get what you give. Honestly, I think if you're respectful to people, they'll be respectful to you, or at least that's what I've always encountered when I was in the field. And when in doubt, shut your mouth. When in doubt, just shut up and let happen what's going to happen, because I feel like sometimes as Americans, we're more bossy and we have rights and we have all these things and we're not going to let you push us around. But I think that that's not the way to be. Even in America, you shouldn't be like that, and especially over there. Just be respectful and they will respect you, or at least that has been my experience.
Thank you. Okay, Sana, I'm going to put this one to you just as a thought, and maybe others have an idea as well. Actually, I'm going to put two different questions together, because somebody asks, basically, what are the qualifications, or what does it take to be, well, they say a field gemologist, but just in terms of to be able to go out into the field. And would you suggest that, from your experience at least, would you suggest this path for a woman? Though maybe actually Vincent's the only one that can truly answer this question as being the only professional one, but just to get an idea from your experience.
Okay, so I'm just going to put it out there, and then I would like to say anything that he needs to add on. I think firstly, one needs to start studying gemology in terms to have enough knowledge to differentiate between the stone, or to at least understand what you're seeing when you're on the field. You need to understand what you're seeing, if it's a ruby or it's synthetic or it's an imitation. So one needs to have enough knowledge to understand what you're looking at. So my advice is to begin with, you start studying anything regarding gemology or where you're going, and able to understand better.
Well, on my side, it's quite easy. I think that I don't see any problem for a woman to become a field gemologist. Basically, the main problem you will have is you will have to convince a lab that it's okay. But if you have to convince me, I'm a very I'm convinced already, you know, after 20 years traveling with women in the field, I know that a woman can do very well. You know, basically tomorrow you'll see some people with Lorian, for example, when I help a Lorian to go to the field, some people telling me, Vincent, you know, if this girl dies somewhere in Africa, we'll hold you responsible. But, but no, I think that a woman, you know, women will find a way to do the right thing. There are many women working in this industry, you know, from the mine to the rest. You know, to have a woman coming from the consuming side to go to the producing side, I don't see where is the problem. If she wants to do it, she will get the skill, she will get over-prepared, like Michele say, and probably she will do a very good job. If she don't travel alone, she can travel with a guy. I like to travel with women. Maybe a woman will decide to, yeah, you know, I like to travel with a guy. I know many women in conservation, you know, leading a lion project in Africa. You will get amazed when you see what is going on at the Nyassa Lion Project. The leader of the Nyassa Lion Project is a woman. You have 7 or 8 lion conservation projects in East Africa. 6 of them are led by women. They live in the field, they deal with poachers, they deal with people who are getting killed, with a riot in the village. And I can tell you, it seems that when you have a riot in a village, when you have lion killing animals or people, when you have people, a woman can keep a village quiet. But if you send a guy to make, you know, a group of villagers quiet, maybe you get the guy killed. But it seems that for many things, women actually perform better than guys. So far, there are 2 people who are professional field gemology. There is me and there is Wim. Wim Verchis at GA, who you know, took over me after my departure. I don't see any reason why a woman could not do that. So far, I have never met a woman who wanted to be a field gemologist. They wanted maybe to travel to the mine maybe 1 or twice and things like that, you know, to see what it was. But working as a field gemologist, I never saw one. I never met one, but if there is one who is coming, why not? I think, yeah, she can find, she will make it probably the thing different compared to what I do, but already Wim is doing things different compared to what I'm doing. So it's a question of personality, and a woman can do it, no problem, no problem.
Erica, did you have something you wanted to add to
that? I forgot what I was going to say, but what was the question before that?
In terms of, would you suggest this kind of a role, and how do you prepare, or you know, for this kind of a job?
Can a woman become a field gemologist? Yeah. Basically.
Oh, absolutely, a woman could become a field gemologist. It's a matter of how much you want to travel, and it is a traveling job all the time. But if you're curious, you know, I think it's a wonderful job. I wish I could do that. I really do. I would love to do that. And I do it, you know, and I've been going to mines since 2008, and I love it so much, but it's just my real passion is jewelry, but I could totally do that. I love doing it. I love going on expeditions.
Like most of the guys, she become a field gemologist, she will get a divorce, she will get a sciatica, maybe 1 or 2 broken bones.
Yes.
Some food poisoning, maybe a gun on her face 1 or twice. If she's careful.
So if you, let's say you've already done your gemology qualification, you've already gone on a trip with Vincent, and you want to, you know, let's say you do want to become professional in this. Someone asked, what is the next step? Do you need to have more education? Is it just about experience? Is it just about finding the lab that's going to hire you? I'll throw that to Erica, but it could be to anybody really. I don't know if Erica has the answer to that question.
Well, I think that's kind of a Vincent question. You know, I think you'd be surprised what you could get if you ask, as far as jobs are concerned. You know, a lot of times we don't ask because, as my mother would say to me growing up, nice young ladies don't do things like that. Nice young ladies don't think like that. Now, meanwhile, she was bad to the bone and going to the Amazon jungle when no one else was traveling to the jungle. You know what I mean? She was going to China when China was communist and Russia when it was communist, and doing the most crazy things in the world and telling me nice young ladies don't do things like that. So with that growing up, you know, you sometimes think, I better not ask, or they would never hire me because I'm a woman, and they would never let me do this because I'm a woman. But until you ask, you're never going to know. And sometimes people would assume you wouldn't want to do it, but why wouldn't you want to do it? You know what I mean? It's so much fun. It's brave. It's different. It's challenging. It pushes you, as the ladies were saying, you know, you come out different when you travel and you see things like that. You really are reborn in a way, truly reborn.
Yeah,
but
what
you
is
have to
the
ask
worst
for,
thing that can happen? What is the worst thing that can happen if you ask? What is the worst thing that can happen to you if you ask?
a woman? What's the worst thing that could happen to a woman? Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant in Africa or something, like a lot of things, but yeah, nothing. Yeah, you might be surprised. Yeah. My first mind trip was to Tanzania with Haley Henning and the Tanzanite Foundation. And when she came up, it was trying to tell me you need to use Tanzanite. And I said, I want to go to the mine. I don't even know where that came from. I don't even know why I said that. And she went, would you really go to the mine? And I was like, yeah. Because, you know, I knew that they had the little Snow White car and the Seven Dwarfs, and it would just be super easy. We could go down there, click, take a couple pictures and jump right back up. You know, that they would have lunch waiting for me down there, that, you know, there would be a refrigerator with ice water in it. None of that is happening. And after I saw exactly how crazy different my thought was versus what really happened, I was just bitten by that bug.
Mm. The worst thing that can happen if you ask is somebody say no.
Yeah.
Before you were in a no situation, and now you are again in a no situation. My advice, if somebody tell you no and you really want to do it, wait 1 week and ask again. I know several people, you know, they were told no maybe 20 times. Mm-hmm. And then after time number 21, the guy say, you know, this one, she really want to do it. So I think maybe she get what is necessary to be able to do it, because she asked me 20 times, I say 20 times no, and well, today, okay, you want to come. And then 21 times, it's a yes. So don't take a no for a no, you know, ask again. It's the same, you want to work in a company, send a resume. They say no, send another one next week. They say no, another one next week. After 20 times, maybe they will still say no, but maybe after 50 times, you will get yes. So don't give up.
Never give up. Never. I mean, even with my jewelry, when I was designing jewelry and I was doing these ultra fancy settings, and I was not from the jewelry business, I didn't understand that you're not supposed to spend that much money on a setting. You're supposed to make it, you know, wire, gem on top, call it a ring, put some diamonds on the side maybe, and that's it. People don't have settings that cost like this. And everybody told me I was wrong. Everybody told me I was wrong. And there were some people that were like, you go, girl, I don't know what you're doing, but just do it. If you love it, you'll sell it, you know? And you can't ever take no for an answer. You can't ever let people tell you what you can do. You know what you can do. And sometimes you don't even know. But if you have that desire in you, you can do it. It's all about what you can do versus what you don't want to do. And we don't want to confront people, and we don't want to push ourselves too much because we live a cushy life. But when you do push yourself, it's almost like, to me, it's almost like the earth moves under your feet, where you just gain like a power and a bravery and a extra confidence in yourself that you didn't have just 1 minute ago. I actually did that. I can't believe I did it.
Thank you. Good answer.
Guys,
okay.
Maybe I have a question.
Yeah.
I have one question that I'm thinking about. And what will be, how do you see basically the future of the industry you are living in? You know, basically your job. How do you see, you know, given the situation and things like that? And how do you see the future in your domain? What are you going to do next?
Who, me?
Whatever.
Okay. Well, I think it's definitely a little stressful right this second, but I do believe, since we're all in the very same boat, one boat or another, you know, that I think you're going to have to work super hard. I don't care how successful you are. And if you are in this business and you're brand new and you think you just simply can't do it, you'd be surprised what happened in my life and how many times I pulled myself up and out of the gutter sometimes, basically, you know, financially, and you can do it. You just have to work hard. And when you're looking at other people thinking that, oh my God, that's Erica Courtney, she has it so easy. No. You have to work hard no matter what you do. So just continue to work hard. If this is your passion, you'll get through this. You'll get through it. If this is what you want to do, you will get through it.
Okay, I got one directed towards Zoe. So you were saying at the beginning that you kind of came into this through your family and the connections that you had through your father. And somebody had asked, do you think that a young woman with no connections, which is probably most of them, could grow into the sector and evolve doing the same kind of stuff that you do? Like if you had started with no connections, could you still get to the place where you're at now?
Probably would have taken me like another 10 years, honestly speaking. Yes, everything is possible as long as if you're good, you know, like in PR and meeting a lot of people, going to as many events about gemstones and jewelry, you know, that you can, going to all the fairs, to all the ICA congresses and other events like CIJO or whatever, you know, like around this world, and meeting as much as people as you can. And depends, you know, like if you're really coming from no background, no knowledge, no anything, you know, it also takes time to trust people, even if you don't have anyone, you know, like of like references, you know, that you can rely on. You're starting from really the beginning, so you have to learn who are the good people, who are the bad people. I mean, you know, like the ones that you can basically trust. This is important, you know. So all of these takes a lot of time, getting contacts, you know, to get like the right stones, the right supply. Yeah, honestly, it takes a lot of time. It's possible, but it will take like much more time than if you already have like kind of like a carnet d'adresse, if I could say. Yeah.
Michele, are you?
Yeah, Justin, Zoe is right, but I would like to add something because I'm a fresh blood. And I'm someone who came into that business not knowing anything about it or anyone, except Vincent virtually on his blog. So basically, it took me less than 5 years so please, if anyone has this passion for it, don't be scared, because when I went into it, people thought I was crazy. They were telling me, you're crazy. What are you doing? And I became a diamond cutter and managed to be a wholesaler and everything that I wanted. Nobody takes people fresh blood in the wholesale business. But it is possible, as long as, once again, it's all about purpose. As long as you know what you want and you're focused on it. And like Zoe said, it takes a lot of PR and you have to work double the time. But it's fairly quick, 5 years to come back on track when you're just shifting your career.
Yeah,
I totally agree. My family was not in the business. My family, my father is an engineer, my mother is a teacher, my grandfather is a winemaker. I had nothing to do with the gem industry. But I think if you are not in the gem industry and you want to start something, there is a very easy way to do. You go to study gemology somewhere. Like for me, I decided to go to study gemology in Myanmar. So I went to spend 4 months living among people who were dealing with gemstone in Myanmar. And then I went to study gemology 6 months in Bangkok. So when you study gemology, you make friends because you have classmates. And during these 6 months studying gemology, you start to have a reputation. After these 6 months, people see that you are a serious guy, you are not a serious guy, and things like that. Then you make your first friends, your first contact. Maybe one of your classmates is in the industry for 3 or 4 generations and say, you know what, maybe we can work together on something. Or maybe you will meet somebody, you go in Bangkok, there are some events, you go around, you meet people, and after your studies, you stay around, you continue meeting people, you go to trade shows, and you go from one connection to another one, and you work. So number one, you study gemology, you get some knowledge, then you try to get a job with somebody that you like, learning again something, and getting a good reputation. When you have knowledge and then a good reputation, slowly and slowly you will make this connection, and then after a while maybe you will get lucky. But to be lucky, it's a lot of hard work. But if you do the right thing, get knowledge and a good reputation. It's just about working hard. If you work hard for a while, this is the recipe, this is what I did. Now I succeed, kind of, yeah. I think everybody can do it, a guy or a girl, no problem. And girls know how to work hard, so I think they are more likely to succeed than a guy.
Okay, this question I'm gonna just have a little bit from everybody, but I'll start with Sana. If you could choose any mining area in the world, let's say the one that you haven't been to before, where would you want to go? Like if Vincent will curate your dream trip for you, where will you go with him in the world?
I think I would love to go to Afghanistan with him. I don't know if it's his looks or the whole daredevil act he's done on that mine expedition, but I think that picture is like stuck in my head. I think if I had to do my next mine expedition with him, it would be Afghanistan.
Okay, Erica, what about you? Where's your dream Vincent trip?
I would love Afghanistan. I definitely want to go back to Africa, and I haven't been to Burma yet. We've talked about Burma 100 times, but anywhere, everywhere, I don't care. I want to just see whatever it is. I don't care. They're all my dream trips.
Okay.
And they all have been my dream trips.
Fair enough. Michele, what about you? Where's your dream right now?
Vincent, now that you're a diver too, are we gonna go and find Atlantis together?
Maybe
underwater trip.
Maybe going to get some pearls will be a good start.
Yeah, let's do something like that. See the sea, because I guess it will take time for us to come back to the ground with what's everything's happening.
No, but pearls, at least I know a place where you can find beads. There are some shipwrecks in some place, and you can go diving on shipwrecks, and from some Portuguese shipwrecks, and they have beads made of coral from Mediterranean. And some old Portuguese shipwreck with coral. They are pretty cool.
Here's to be put on the bucket list.
And Zoe, what do you think? If you're going to start sourcing from a new location in the world and you want to go there and check it out, where would you most like to see that you haven't seen?
So, well, I'm already sourcing from Mozambique, but I haven't get the chance yet to go there. And I will go to see, part of the ruby mines. This will be like very interesting, but I'm most interested about the Paraíba mines, especially like Mafuco and around this area. So also because like Paraíba is one of my favorite stones. Okay. So also I would say Zimbabwe for the emeralds. Of course, I've always been attracted by the emeralds. It's my #1 stone. So I'm quite curious about this place. And then I would say also like Namibia for the beautiful indigo tourmalines that they have. And I have heard only like beautiful things about this country, landscapes, people, and the way of mining as well. So it will be quite nice to visit those places. Yes.
Thank you. And this one can be basically to anybody if you have an idea, but are you guys involved in any Facebook groups or social media groups that are kind of focused on women in the jewelry or gem trade to connect and communicate? Everybody's shaking their heads no. Okay. And this could be a project, Sana.
Well, in India, we do have something called WJA, which is Women Jewelry Association. So women who want to learn and know more about it, I think you can register. And I hope that would be helpful. Okay.
That's a good one. Yeah. I know in Chicago, there's a group. I know there's several different chapters of that group around the world. So yes. That's a good point. Have any of you guys been to Mogok? Someone had asked, how is it going to Mogok as a woman? Have any of you guys been? I know Erica said you want to go. Haven't been. Anyone here has been?
No, Vincent? They're on tomorrow.
Okay, so we'll say that question.
Yeah, Mogok is great for women. Mogok is for anybody is great. You go to Mogok, you see men and women working is great. Mogok is the hub for the gemstone culture in Southeast Asia. It's, you know, you're going to a place where people are mining for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So you have many things, everything is wonderful. You know, people are great, the food is great, the stone are great, the landscape is great. You have this place, like the whole city is made of, like a little bit, now it's opening. There is some modernity coming, but most of the house, like a wooden house, you have pagoda on the top of the mountain and a monk walking in the morning. So this is a kind of a hidden secret town where tourists usually don't go, and very pristine, very unique.
Yeah.
Like one of the, there are many gemstone mining areas like that are, when you go to some of these places and you walk around and you look at it and you say, there is no other place in the world like this one. You know, when you go to Mogok, you realize that there is no other place in the world like that. Ratnapura, I have never seen any other place where you have people mining under paddy field like the way they do. When you go to Vietnam and you see the mountain, you know, Casting Mountain, you know, all this cliff, and then in the middle you have this paddy field and with this lovely village with the bamboo fences all around, and you say, where else, with super beautiful spinels and nice rubies, where else you see something like that? There is no other place like that. It's totally unique. Colombia, when you go to Colombia and you go to Muzo and you look around and you say, where can you find a place like that? You know, it's unique. It's just unique. So, you know, there are some places like, you know, people want to go to visit, like Notre Dame de Paris, something like that. I can tell you most of the mining areas, for me, every which of them is a kind of place totally unique with landscape, people and gems. And for me, the one I want to go to visit is the next one. But if there is one place I want to go, it's the Lapis Lazuli mine in Afghanistan, because people are mining there for 7,000 years.
Wow.
They are mining this stone that is blue for 7,000 years. Imagine mountains that are mined for 7,000 years and still mined today. Lapis, you find that in the treasure from Babylon and things like that. They were, you know, highly priced until the race. Until somebody decided that the name sapphire have to go to a stone that is transparent. But basically, the sapphire from the ancients, the stone that gave the public recognition to the word sapphire, is today called lapis lazuli. And now lapis lazuli is saying, oh, you know, it's nothing, it's lapis. It's not nothing. Number one, it's super nice, and number two, I can afford it. So it's not nothing. So if there is one place I want to go, is Afghanistan to see the lapis mine. Yeah, if I have to say something. Yeah.
Okay, so let me put this one towards Erica. So earlier in the talk, Michele had mentioned, you know, one of the things that you need to prepare with is with the physical strength, you know, getting in shape for trekking and all this kind of stuff. Have you also felt like how that you need to, you know, get your physical strength up? And once you're actually in the field, did you find that maybe you were kind of like not able to do everything, or it was okay strength-wise?
Strength-wise, before my first trip with Vincent, he said we're going to need a lot of strength, which was absolutely true. And there's a mountain in LA that we would climb every single morning, sometimes twice. And at the time, I had an office that was 16 floors up. So every morning I climbed those 16 floors. And if I went down for lunch, I climbed it back up again. And I went down and up sometimes twice a day. I wish I would have done it with a backpack, because I've never used a backpack in my life, and I didn't realize how much harder it was going to be with a backpack that doesn't even weigh that much, but it was difficult for me doing that when I would be climbing up, because the weight was off and I wasn't used to weight on my back. I did have probably a jet lag episode one time where I'd come in late that night, and then we drove for 13 hours, and then when we were climbing up this mountain, it was hard, and Vincent had to help me with my backpack. And by the time we got to the camp, I just fell on my face, just about, you know, like I was just exhausted. And that was kind of tough.
12 hours of jet lag, 12 hours between the seat and the roof. And then I asked you to walk for 6 hours under the sun.
And climb a mountain.
You didn't complain. You just collapsed. You didn't want it to take you back. You didn't want it. I had to take you back by force because I was. That's sometimes the danger with traveling with women. I saw that in the military. When I was in the French military, there was a section of women and a section of guys in my company. After 2 months, the guys, at one point, they say, "Oh, I'm tired," and things like that. When a guy tells you he's tired, you kick his ass, and I can tell you he can walk. The woman, she will shut up, and then she will break because she will not complain. And at the end of the 2 months, you had many women, they had a big problem because this is what is, for me, they are afraid to say that, I'm tired, or it's too hard. Sometimes, especially women like you, Michele, or you, Erica, because you put too much pressure on yourself, and then if I'm not watching, you will just break down. And then if you break down and you cannot even walk 1 meter more, that's the danger. Mm-hmm. So please just communicate and say, I'm getting really tired. And accept when the guy, asks, maybe I take your bag.
Yeah.
No, but that's great. Traveling with you, it's all the time a pleasure. People think that, you're a diva, but you are probably the most easy person to travel with because you never complain and you are tough and you are motivated. And thanks to you, I can learn from, it's not all the time when a field guy can discuss with a successful jewelry designer and understand a little bit what happened on the other side of the chain. So it's all the time educative. I like to travel with people who can educate me and bring me some new visions. So, no, it's great.
Same here.
But don't break.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're almost out of questions here, but I'm going to pass this one around to everybody. How long were the trips that you guys were on? And I'll start with Michele. How long were you out in the field? Or if you've been on multiple, I don't know if you guys have been on more than one of these trips.
We've been to Sri Lanka for I don't know how many weeks, and and then we went to Chantaburi and Vietnam for also
2 weeks also. I think twice 2 weeks. It was twice 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah. So 2 weeks is a normal number. Sana, what about you? How long were you out in the field for?
I think we were there for almost 12 days. About 12 days.
Okay.
It's about 2 weeks, yeah.
And Erica, what about you? I know you've been on several ones, right? Hold on, you're muted.
I have. I've been to Colombia, Kenya, Australia, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Cambodia. I think the longest one was maybe in Africa, maybe almost 3 weeks, I feel like, Vincent, maybe.
Mozambique was 3 weeks, I think, yes.
Yeah, that was a long one, but super interesting, it was kind of magical. I just loved it. I loved it. It was one of the harder trips, but I just loved it.
And Zoe, what about you? When you go out and do your sourcing and do your business trips, how long do you usually go for?
So 1 to 3 weeks, it depends. Honestly, it depends. But yeah, usually it's like 1 to 3 weeks.
And then if you're doing longer trips, like going out to South America and stuff, do those end up being long? I mean,
oh yes, of course. Like in South America, then I get to enjoy to see my family, my sisters, my brothers, and my nephews. So I can stay there like for a month and a half if I get the time, of course, But yeah. Usually, yes, I always stay like 2 weeks more or a week more, to enjoy with them. Yeah, definitely.
But usually, if you organize well something, if you want to go to visit 1 or 2 mining areas, 3 weeks is quite long. You can. I don't advise to go on 3 weeks trip at the beginning. Maybe you go 1 weekend and then 1 week and then 2 weeks. But after 2 weeks, you start to have issues in the group because if you go on a trip that is 1 month, people get very tired at the end, and you have tension that arise. People, even good friends after 1 month can start to be very, very happy not to see the next guy, anymore for a few weeks. So everything that is longer than 2 weeks, you are taking a risk with the relationship inside the group. Because if some funny problem happen with some people, after 1 week, they say, oh, okay, we pass half, I can hold a little bit for 1 more week. But if you know that it's 3 weeks or 1 month, between the first and the second week, usually you have a clash. And you don't want to have a clash in an expedition. So everything over 10 days, make sure that you travel with people who are really, it get long.
Yeah. Okay, Michele, I'll throw this one to you and then maybe throw it around the group a little bit. But someone asked, so far we've been talking a lot about trekking with, let's just say, women of a younger age. Do you think older women are going to have just as much success in the field? I'm not sure how old the question was meant to be, if they mean senior citizens or I don't know. But
I think they will have even more success in the field because I'm sure they train more, they mentally, physically. So it's not about the age, I would say. I think the question is irrelevant because today it's all about the person. It's not at all about your age. You can be in your 20s and cannot, walk the stairs to your apartment or be prepared mentally to go on a trip that is in nature. So I don't know if it answers the question.
Yeah. Sana, what do you think? Are you going to be able to do more as you get older, or building upon wisdom and maybe even strength if you're trekking around all the time?
Yes, I think definitely once you're able to build strength in terms of physical and mental, I think age doesn't really matter. But yes, you need to have certain strength and stamina, because when you're out on the field, sometimes I remember we had treks for like an hour, but sometimes it was more than 5 or 6 hours. So it really depends. As long as one can hold up to that strength, I think one can really achieve expedition successfully.
Okay.
Yeah. That expedition, we went with geologists. I wanted to show them things. So we were walking in rivers for hours just to see, a cliff. That's a geology kind of expedition where we are going around to understand the geology thing. Now, if you go, for example, in a place like Mogok or Sri Lanka, you have roads. You don't have to, basically, the road takes you to the mine. You don't have to walk very much. When you go underground, you may go 5 or 6 or 700 meters underground. That's a different story. But my advice, you want to go to the field, get fit. You never know. Maybe you will have to work. If you cannot walk 5 or 6 hours, you have to be sure that the place you are going is not a walking place. But if you can go walking, and I know many women like my sister or things like that, they can go shopping for 5 or 6 hours, so they can walk. I will take my mother to the field, no problem. She is 78. I can tell you, she will kill most of the young ladies that I know, because she can walk for 7 or 8 days, not hours, days.
Erica, what do you think about the question?
I think age doesn't matter. I've seen very unhealthy 20-year-olds and super fit 70-year-olds. I think it also is a thing inside and outside, your physical fitness inside as well as outside, and your determination, because a lot of times you feel like you can't do it. And sometimes as women, like Vincent says, we don't want to say I give. So we push ourselves too much because we kind of really don't know what's too much sometimes, you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm a grandmother. I went.
Cool. Okay. That's empowering for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Zoe, I know you're going all around the world. Somebody had asked, usually the mining areas are located in parts of the country that are pretty remote and undeveloped. When you go and explore these areas, are you also able to explore other parts of the country, maybe the more developed parts, or other parts of the country besides just that one thing?
Yeah. Well, let's say yes, Nigeria. Yes, of course. I had to get to some more important cities that were more developed. Then like as far as like for Sri Lanka, the same. Like I mean, going to Colombo, like yes, it's quite developed. Then for Pakistan, yes, of course, the same thing. Like you get to visit like all the areas, even mountain areas that are beautiful. The landscape in Pakistan is really, really, really beautiful. Like you're really in the middle of the Himalayan landscapes, you know, and mountains. So this is pretty nice. I wish I had like more time after my sourcing trips to stay there and visit a bit more, you know, like about other sides of the country. But unfortunately, you have to go back to the office and do the grading and everything. And then as far as for Colombia, well, any place in Colombia is really truly beautiful, especially the mining areas. They are for nature, for like you have a diversity for birds, butterflies that are just incredible. Even flowers is, I think, like one of the most like richest country in terms of like fauna and flora, honestly. And then yes, then of course like you have all the big cities, Bogota, Medellin, and Cali that are like super developed. Other smaller cities as well, or villages. But yeah, I mean, it's always like very interesting, you know, like to see the surrounding of those areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody had asked towards the beginning, directed towards you, as far as Colombia goes, is it quite dangerous to go there? Do you feel unsafe with the political climate and everything?
No, this is like old stories. I mean, it changed a lot, you know, like since the time that I was living there. At the time that I was living there, you know, like you couldn't really like get out of Bogota, or otherwise like you could have been kidnapped by the FARC or the guerrilla or whoever. And this is not just for foreigners, even like local Colombians, it could have been the same. Then going down the mine, as like my father's time also was quite dangerous back in the 80s, 90s, you know, also like during the drug war and emerald war between well, at the time of Pablo Escobar. But I mean, since then, like let's say like since 2006 or 2007, it has become much safer. Colombia is a country now that is like really exploding in terms of tourism. And I have many of my friends that have been traveling there like for a month, backpacking around the whole country, like super safely. Of course, you still have like some areas that are quite dangerous inside like forest or mountain areas. But usually when you go to point A to point B, you will call that village to ask them, okay, like, is it safe enough? Or did the forest or the guerrilla came around like in the past few weeks, like to disturb? You will know before you go, basically. So no, it's quite safe. You don't have like, no. Also like in the mining areas, I mean, by the time of, you know, like in the Boyacá region, you know, like it started to change also at the moment of foreign companies entering Colombia in the mining industry. So Victor Carranza, you know, was a man who made this happen as well. It couldn't have been done, you know, like without him. And he was a very visionary guy. So he understood that the peace and stable morals basically were the key of progress into mining sector, and investment and technology also would open along to consolidate all this way, you know. So I think it was, you know, it's also like a good, it was also good, you know, for part of his heritage and also his family business. He still has actually some of his family members that are really big still, I mean, in this business. So yeah, no, even in the mining areas, I mean, it's still quite safe, I would say. The roads, the school, the development of the communities, everything. You can see also what Fura has done, what Musa International has done. Like check out their you know, like their websites, their Instagram pages to see a little bit of the progress. You know, how they have helped the communities and the security also like along in those areas.
Cool. Thank you for the info. Yeah, I didn't know about most of that, so that's, I'm sure for the listeners, it's really informative. Okay, I'll throw this one to Michele. This one's slightly off topic, but it's kind of interesting anyway. I know you're working with end customers and end jewelry and stuff. Somebody had asked when we're working, or like when we're shopping with bigger jewelry houses, do we assume, or should we assume, that the gemstones that they're using in these types of high-end jewelry, are they heated, unheated, treated, not treated?
Yes, definitely. And I'm sure Erica can help me answer this question. When we're talking about big brands and the high-end department, at least the department I work with, no stone is heated or treated. They are all untreated, and you can even ask for a certificate from the company if it doesn't have a Gobelin or an SSCF certificate. I hope it answers that question.
Okay. And Sana, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so I'm working with a company that deal with high-end gemstones and natural fancy colored diamonds. So we do use heated or treated gemstones, but we make sure we disclose it. We disclose it to our clients, like they should know about it. So that's something we do. Yeah.
Cool. And Erica, I know
Actually,
you're also...
you know, guys, if you read Ruby and Sapphire, the book by Richard Hughes, written in the 1987, there is a very simple rule that he calls the deep law. The closer you go to the mine, the more likely you are to find synthetic imitation and things like that. The farther you go from the mine, basically you go on a fancy retail store there somewhere. In theory, you have many people who check along the line, so you are less likely to find something funny that when you go to the mine.
Yeah. Erica, in your experience, what do you think?
I agree. I do use heated and treated stones sometimes because it's very difficult to find. I do try to find them unheated. It's always disclosed if it's heated or if it's natural, but also I have clients in different price ranges. So if they want a 5-carat sapphire, they might not want to pay the unheated price. And for me, there's nothing wrong with a heated sapphire since almost all of them are heated as it is, you know.
Okay. Okay, let me switch it up a little bit. Zoe, someone had asked specifically, are all the stones that you're selling and sourcing, are you cutting them in Bangkok or cutting them in other places?
No, so when I have specified at the beginning, maybe this attendee was not following at the beginning. And so basically everything that are like single stones, we cut and we recut in Bangkok. But everything that is related to calibrated sizes, so as per the emeralds that we're doing and the sapphires, pairs of sapphires, we do that in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And I think this might be our last question, so I'll just pose it to the group and see if anyone has an idea. If you're interested in this kind of a lifestyle, you know, gems, jewelry, field expeditions, etc., is it better to go for the gemology background or the geology background? What do you guys think? Who's got a Sana? Okay.
I think from my... Sorry?
Okay. Sana.
I think from my personal experience, and it has worked out for me, is gemology, because it all started from gemology, and then I did my jewelry designing and then so on. So I think that was my base for me to grow. So in my opinion, it's gemology, like if you want to deal with gems, jewelry, and the trade.
Okay. Anybody else have another idea? I think probably we all agree with this. I mean, it seems like people who are going into geology are not necessarily working in the gem trade. They're doing other things in science. So
yeah, they will go to work maybe in mines or maybe, and probably not gemstone mine, because actually there are very few gemstone mines that are using geologists. But if you want to work, for example, in a lab, I think the best background is currently analytical chemistry, because the labs are going much more now in spectroscopy, trace element chemistry, and things like that. So probably the best background if you want to work in a lab is a master or a PhD in analytical chemistry, or in geology. But you have to find a place where you are working on gem, kind of geology university that is working with gemstone. So it's a long process, but gemology is easy because it's a 6 months. Usually it's a 6 months specialization. Geology, it will take you minimum 5 to 8 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you are not sure, start with gemology. But if you want to go to something solid and a PhD, yeah, maybe start geology or analytical chemistry. That would be, I don't know, some people will say, people with a geology background will say the best thing to do is geology. I study physical chemistry, analytical chemistry. I think that the best background to enter a lab is analytical chemistry. But it's debatable.
Yeah. Okay, Vincent, this one's for you. What's the most essential gemological tool that you never go to the field without?
Well, a good brain full of knowledge and wisdom.
That's what I thought you were going to say. Okay,
Yeah.
so
that light, that super light, you have all the time it with you and it's all the time ready.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think we can leave it there. That's a good place. I think all of you guys express that same sentiment here. Prepare, and then a lot of that has to do with getting your brain ready. And as Zoe said, reading about the history. As Michele said, you know, getting your meditation going on. And yeah, everybody kind of had that same sentiment. And so
the right attitude.
Yeah.
Getting the right attitude is the number one thing. You know, you get the right attitude, you get yourself ready, you transform your dream into a project, you give yourself some goals, exactly like Michele was saying, and then, you know, then go with the right people. Yeah. Okay, so thanks a lot to everybody, all of you, or four. It was a pleasure to have you tonight. It was a pleasure to have you in the field with me. It was a pleasure to have you tonight, and I hope that our attendees enjoy. From what I see, you know, I don't see too many bad comments, so I think you did very well, actually. So congratulations to everybody, and I hope to see you again one of these days, you know, when this crazy situation will be out, we'll be able to enjoy going to the field again. And in the meanwhile, everybody just please stay safe and take care of yourself, take care of the others, because, you know, this virus kills. So, you know, get yourself through that, and then when everything will be finished, we'll enjoy again going to the field and meeting each other. It will be great. So, see you, everybody.
And we're going to be back here tomorrow. See you.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you.
If you speak French, funny ethnic minority language, we can meet you tomorrow. There will be four ladies who will be happy to share also the experience, but in French. So Justin will have some hard time because, well, but it's a good training for him.
Yeah.
Maybe because he proposed to a French lady. So maybe he will be he will have an educative webinar tomorrow speaking in French or trying to understand that. And
so we're going to be back here every Wednesday now. Me and Vincent are doing this series, Field Gemology Talks. So stay tuned. We're going to be putting ads out every week for new talks every Wednesday at the same time. If you want to follow us on social media, Instagram, YouTube, wherever, we're there. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow in French. So good luck. And thanks all the ladies for being out here. Super great stories. If you didn't look at the chat, you should, because everybody had really nice things to say, and really just thankful to hear this point of view that we don't often get to hear. So thank all of you for being here and for the time and for the experiences.